my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm metrosexual.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be going over what pros do and how they actually improve in Fortnite. Like, what they spend their specific time on and what specific pro players do to actually improve, and specific things that some people do more than others. I'm not going to be going over just one specific pro or two specific pros. I'm just going to be going over generally what a lot of pros do, and then maybe might give us some specifics as to what certain pros do. So if you're looking forward to this video and you want to learn how to actually improve and what you can do to start becoming a better Fortnite player and actually even doing what the pros do so you know it's going to work and make you a better player in the long run, well then make sure you smash that like button, hit the comment button, and let me know what you want to see for a future video. I'm always reading your guys' comments. Hit that subscribe button and let's get right into the video. And you guys already know, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop. Let's get into it. So the first thing that you actually see pro players do when they first get online and first kind of boot up their PC, or I guess for you guys, well, for some of you guys, a console, is they get a good solid warm up in and like an actual good practice session in. So basically just think of it as kind of a sport or singing or any kind of physical activity where you need to do something or even use your mind. It's best to warm up. Like if you see professional sport players, or you guys have played soccer, baseball, something like that, you guys probably know that almost before every game or every practice, you're supposed to do a good warm up, like whether it's stretching, whether it's running, whether it's throwing a ball for football or baseball or something like that. You're always supposed to be warming up. For singing, warming up your vocal cords. And it's the exact same thing for Fortnite. You need to be warming up your edits, you need to be warming up your building, you need to be warming up your aiming, and sometimes you can even warm up your like game sense literally by watching VOD reviews before you hop on. And you'll see pro players do this all the time if you watch their stream. Sometimes, actually a lot of the time, I'd say pro players don't stream it. Like normally they'll warm up so they look good and they look like they know what they're doing, and then they'll actually start their stream. But if you get lucky and you pay attention, sometimes you will actually be able to watch pro players warm up, and this is only like 30 minutes, maybe sometimes at max an hour, and depends. Sometimes if there's a tournament early in the morning, they will do a very short warm-up just to make sure they're good, because obviously a lot of these pros wake up at like 2 p.m. so they don't really get that good of a warm-up for tournament days. But besides that, like most of the time, they will specifically actually make sure they have a really good warm-up, because if they don't, they may not be playing as well. So trust me, getting a good warm-up, I made videos on it before, but if you want to see a specific new warm-up video made, let me know in the comments. But yeah, warming up is super important to having a good practice session. So now the next thing pro players do is they work specifically on their mechanics, and that includes aiming, editing, as well as building. And I'll talk about kind of building and editing in the future. But a lot of pro players, especially when they first started Fortnite and first started playing competitive games, is they used to grind games like Kovacs or CSGO training maps or stuff like that, which helped them improve their aim a ton. Nowadays, you don't see as many pros grinding Kovacs or grinding stuff like that, but the only reason for that is because their aim is already so above everyone else that they only play maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day with the odd grind sesh, just because they don't need to. Their aim's already next level. But for you guys whose name or aim isn't maybe at a pro level, or editing isn't at a pro level, you guys should spend a lot of time, whether it's on Kovac, whether it's creative maps for aiming, whatever the case is, spend time practicing your aim, because it is probably the most important thing in Fortnite. Now the next thing, and a great player who does this all the time, is Mr. Savage M, is playing solo squads. Now I'm sure all of you guys have seen one of your favorite pro players playing solo squads from some point from season 3 all the way up till even now. People are still playing solo squads. It used to be so popular back in season 5, 6, 7, and 8, back when like Tfue was dropping 40 bombs, Savage dropped 40 bombs, all that good stuff, where people were just absolutely grinding on solo squads because they were so much better. Nowadays it's not as popular, because even some pro players struggle doing solo squads, because most of the players nowadays are actually pretty good at the game. Like the average player is definitely way better than it was back in Season 8, but there are still some few players who do solo squads, and solo squads is still honestly a good way. Even if you're dying every single time, it is still a good learning experience on how to fight multiple enemies, how to third party, when not to fight, when to fight, high ground advantages, etc, etc. So I still recommend doing this. You guys don't have to, but some pro players still do it all the time, a lot of the EU guys, and you'll still see people like Vivid or 72 Hours do solo squads quite a bit. So the next thing you see pro players do all the time, now I'm talking all the time, this is probably almost as much as they play the game, is they play in creative. Now a lot of you guys are probably like, well, isn't that kind of like your warm up? Like, what do you mean? And no, and yes. So like basically what I mean by creative is there's kind of two forms in my opinion. So, well, three forms. One is doing like your editing courses, your aiming courses or whatever, but I would just say that's your warming up or improving your mechanics, like I said in the first two tips. But what I really mean is the other two, which is basically playing against other people in creative, whether that is whether that is box fighting or whether that's 1v1s, or doing free building by yourself and free editing. So a perfect example of box fighting is someone like Clix or Kanata or people like that, or Unknown Army. They do so much box fighting, so much 1v1s or Landjock, and you see the improvement because their mechanics, their fighting ability becomes so much better, and they become so confident, and they never miss edits and they never miss shots because they've just done it so many times in creative against other people that when it comes to game times, it just feels normal. They feel comfortable doing it, and they know that they can win most fights because they beat the best players in creative. Now, I'm not saying you have to go beat Kanata or fight Kanata to become one of the best players or improve a ton inside of Fortnite, but basically what you can do is just look on simple discords, whether you're on West, East, EU, there's always discords, and you can find other people who are willing to 1v1, box fight, etc. And then the other form, like I said, is free building or free editing. And if you guys don't know what I mean by that, it's basically the Mongo Classic or Benji Classic, where you go into creative and you literally just edit and build and edit and build and edit and build, like basically face way type stuff for literally as long as possible, and just try and do as many triple edits or double edits or tunnels as you possibly can, and just try as much as possible to make you get out of the comfort zone and do as good as possible. Like I said, you'll see Mongrel do this all the time, or Benji. If you literally watch their stream, I guarantee you half the time you click on it, it's going to be them in creative doing one of those things: box fighting, build fighting, or free editing or free building. Free editing and free building is probably one of my favorite things to do in Fortnite, and tons and tons of pro players do it because it is so beneficial. So the next thing that pros do, and this probably takes precedent over any other thing, whether it's box fighting, aim practice, whatever the case is, and that is grinding out scrims. Now, like I said, this is kind of similar to solo squads, where scrimming was so big back in season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, blah, blah, blah. And so much of their pro players' times and just average players' times was spent scrimming, and whether it's solos, duos, or trios, but they spent so much time scrimming. And even now they still scrim, but scrims aren't as popular anymore because there's more, like, I guess you could say, more people play in arena than there is customs. If you do find some good customs, though, I definitely recommend doing it, because trust me, it is a really good way to improve endgame and good game sense, or game sense, and know when to rotate, when not to rotate. And even if you do like a couple hours every week, or even every day if you possibly can, you will see the improvement super soon and super quickly of you improving endgame scenarios. Then the last thing that you see pro players do a lot, and this one you don't actually see pro players do as much, but they do it, trust me, I know. I've asked people on stream, I've donated and asked people like Benji, Zextro, blah blah blah, and they VOD review a ton, whether it's their own gameplay, other pros gameplay. They VOD review and figure out what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and basically use it to learn and take it as a good experience and use to fix. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, like I said, hopefully this does really help you guys improve. Like I said, you don't really need to do any specific ones of these. This is just a general guideline of what pro players do. So hopefully you guys help you. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Peace.